I think the subject that we are discussing is highly interesting and also very controversial, as everybody knows. I see the technique of genetical engineering as a new technique in mankind, and I think in general, with all the restrictions, I am positive towards it. It can have many benefits, and I think we should pursue it. As far as the legislation is concerned, that was established in my first term in Parliament in the period 94-99, and I remember the vivid discussions we had then. But when we discussed it, at that time, we only discussed about one possible technique. It is the implantation of genes in any other plant, and then the technique is in general called transgenesis. Since then, as with my iPads, I have an iPad here. I bought it about half a year ago, and to my chagrin, I have now discovered that it is already very old-fashioned, that there is a new one on the market, which is much better, and I should have waited a bit. Now, so it is with genetical engineering as well. It is, the developments in it are going very fast, and we have all kinds of techniques. My main preoccupation has been, in the last number of years, that the legislation in Europe is too one-sided. Not all kinds of genetical engineering are the same, and you will later you will hear more about it. But there is a new technique which is called cisgenesis, which in my view should have a different approach from the European Union in comparison with transgenesis. What is the difference? If you have, for instance, I don't know, I'm not a specialist, if it happens in practice, but if you have a maize plant which is attacked by insects, you could probably implant a gene of an insect in that maize plant, and subsequently the maize plant is resistant against that attack. Transgenesis, you implant a foreign gene into another organism. But you have also the other examples. That is, for instance, with potatoes. You have potato varieties that are resistant against certain diseases. And you can implant a gene from a potato variety that is resistant into a potato variety that is not resistant, and subsequently you get the variety that was not resistant becomes resistant. And then you implant the genes from the same variety, the same species, into another plant. And I think that is of a different kind of category than the traditional genetical engineering that we are talking about. But there are better specialists than I on that point. I think that needs a different kind of approach from the European Union. And apart from the discussion about should we allow it nationally or not nationally, I'm looking forward to the compromises that will be forced by Mrs. Lepage. But I think we should take that approach into account as well. The technique is going very fast, and legislation should not be too fixed on one technique. It should make it possible for different techniques to have a different approach in the European Union. That is a bit different from what we have discussed in the last interventions, but that would be my approach for the European Union. I think we should allow certain techniques under a different framework of legislation. Thank you.